Welcome to Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California with your hosts Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas. Broadcasting video worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and broadcasting audio on the Dark Matter Network at ArtBell.com. Are you ready to witness something that you cannot explain?
I'm looking for you, you're looking for me. We have to decide what it will be. Can it be true? Can I believe? We unexplained. Look into the sky, you realize you're not alone. Open your eyes, you can find the trails that control.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, broadcasting live from Central California in the biggest city that we all know, Fresno, California. Stop making fun of us. I tell you, stop making fun of us. Hi, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez. I am your host, and I got a room full of people. We're going to have a great time tonight. My co-host, Alan Thomas.
Hi, y'all. How you doing?
Emerald Bonilla behind the scenes.
Hi.
And we have three guests, actually. If you are watching on live stream right now, we have a member of the Crystal Skull in our studio, Yorick, and we have their keeper, Kimarie, Teter, and Baltazar, Villarreal. I guess is the proper way of saying it. Roll the tongue, right? I want to thank you for showing up. We're going to have a great time tonight. If you guys can see this right now, there is a very large crystal skull right in our studio. If you are watching on ParanormalCentral.net, you are able to watch it. If not, Art Bell has a photograph on the website right now. You can actually look at the photograph of Yorick if you are not able to watch this live stream, or you can always come back later on and watch the show. So thank you for showing up again. This is Paranormal Central, broadcasting live, never archived, always live. I've been wanting a show like this to happen for a long time, until I got a call, I don't know, a couple days ago, and it was like, what a trip. I mean, I've known Baltazar for a while, and I had no clue that he had the connections that to make this happen. So I'm happy this is going to happen finally. First of all, before we really get into it, we're going to get into the Sasquatch report. Every show we have a friend of mine called Danny. He's the biggest Bigfoot geek that I know. Well, Alan's one of those too. But he's going to give us a whoa, what happened there? That got louder, didn't it?
Yep. So did I.
Oh.
Better?
Why? Was he telling you to hire it up or what?
No, I can't hear nothing. So that's why I'm trying to mess with it. But I won't touch it. Go.
Oh.
Danny's on.
Okay. You're probably not. Okay. Yeah, don't turn anything on there. So, all right, let's get Danny on. Danny, you there?
Yep.
All right, Danny Beldrama.
Crystal Skull.
You see
Crystal Skull is making everything go louder.
You know what? I tell you, that's kind of weird. Okay, well, did you put the volume
That was
back?
good,
back.
Danny.
Okay.
That was good. It probably is.
A lot of power.
A lot of
that
power.
and the copper coil and everything. Oh, yeah.
I got a feeling we're probably going to have some weird stuff happen tonight, and that's cool because I want it to happen. I even have an EMF detector, and I had it right by the Crystal Skull, but it was going off because we have so much stuff going on. See, there's nothing going on here, but hold on.
Yeah, let's see.
He's tricky.
Use your thermal imager on it.
No kidding. Oh, dude.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's a good call.
Yes, I think we'll have to do that. Okay, and I'll take some photographs later on. Awesome, Danny. All right, Danny, Mr. Bigfooter, what's going on?
Oh, we got a lot of good stories here for you today.
All right.
Our first one comes from...
okay, hold on. For all those who are watching on artbell.com, you can go and they're on the homepage. You have the photograph that we're going to be showing right now on live stream at artbell.com. So go over there, take a look, so that way you're not left out. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to photograph number 1. All right, go for it.
Okay, it's from Ken Korzak from the Examiner.com. And he's a writer that thinks that it's time that we reevaluate everything that we know about Bigfoot. And with that, he found this book called The Psychic Sasquatch. It was released in 1998. But he says this book is a good place to start. It was written by Jack Kawani Lapsaritis, and he's an anthropologist. He says mainstream science has everything backwards. That Bigfoot is not an animal. It's a race of people, and they're more intelligent than we are. He's basing on this 40 years of research that he has, and he's saying that, among other things, that Bigfoot is an interdimensional entity that can pop in and out of reality or dimension at will.
You know, I've actually heard people actually say that. They'll be witnessing a Bigfoot running or walking, and all of a sudden it would disappear and then reappear. And I've heard that many times. So, you know, it's hard to grasp unless you actually witness it for yourself. But you have credible people telling exactly the same thing. So,
yep. And he believes that they're the Bigfoot are a race of people that were seeded here by various ancient and superior race of ETs that he calls the Star People. And Bigfoot has a powerful psychic ability. They can read our minds and send us messages.
Which we've heard the two. I mean,
yep. And he says that they're an expert astral traveler. They're extremely kind and loving, and they're one with nature. And Bigfoot has been coming and going from this planet, ferried by UFOs for millions of years.
Hey, Danny. Hey, how come they don't have fire?
I know.
You know, they eat the deer raw. I mean, we find the deer's all raw. I mean, if they have all that, they should have fire, right?
They
but
might
I mean, sorry
have
about
fire
interrupting, but you know, just something I was thinking about.
Yeah.
I mean, we track these guys around and find their roadkill or whatever and they never have it cooked. Right. You know, and you'd think if they were that high, they would have a fire.
Yeah.
Well, in the Middle East too, they don't cook their food.
They
I mean, they have a meat market where the meat isn't refrigerated; it's out, and you just come and grab a slice and eat it raw too.
Well,
So.
we were first starting. We didn't have fire either.
Well, I mean, I've been all over Africa, and they didn't have refrigerators either, but only we carried everything alive. And then when we got to the village, then the little ladies would kill it and eat it, you know, cook it over a fire, and then we would eat it. The only thing you didn't do is drink the water.
Right.
You know, their water. But anyways, I was just wondering, I mean, they say it's dimensional and this and that, and, you know, and then it doesn't have a fire.
Maybe they don't need to eat as much as we do.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just
they believe that the Homo
to me
sapiens,
that doesn't make sense.
Us,
yeah.
They believe that we are the missing link, not them. And he says that he has proof. Not only does he have direct communication with these creatures, he says that there's at least 76 other witnesses, or experiencers as he calls them, that have had the same exact phenomenon happen to them. He says that if there's 76 other people, they can't all be having the same delusion.
Right.
So there's got to be something to this. And he also states that Native American lore largely supports this, too. All the Native Americans have it on record that they can do exactly what he's saying that they can do.
That's true.
So they're saying there's something to it. And
this guy's
he's on YouTube. Right? He has plenty of videos on YouTube, so you can go and check this guy out.
Well, I guess we're going to have to get him on the show, huh?
Yeah, he doesn't. They said that he's not like a hippie type of person. He's a normal guy. When you're talking to him, he's pretty sane. He's not a lunatic. He's passionate, determined, and tempered. And he's kind and attentive to those who ask him questions and saying that he's wrong. He'll listen to you and he'll talk to you and he'll calmly tell you what he believes. He doesn't get into confrontations with you. So he's trying to get everybody to believe that it's not an animal. He says that we are the animals, because if you go online and look at everything that's going on, people are killing each other, children are getting shot in schools, our seas are polluted, and they're overfished, forest lands are just disappearing. It's greed, strip mining, chemicals everywhere, nuclear weapons. He says we're the animals, not these guys. So he says you need to take a closer look and reevaluate everything that you believe.
Something to think about, and we believe in Bigfoot because he's actually seen one in person, and it's what you're saying is I have to agree to a point. I mean, there's a lot that we don't know about, a lot. And we're going to talk about a lot tonight, and we're going to have fun. We're going to get into it.
We should be asking Yorick. Like, dude, where did they come from, man?
I wish that could be possible. Well, we got
all the answers might be sitting in front of you.
No kidding. So,
right on. The second picture is a picture of him.
Okay, hold on. Let me get him up here. All right.
Oh, okay. I've seen that dude before.
Have you?
Yeah, online.
Okay. What was his name again?
His name was Jack Kawani Lapsaritis.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like it hurts.
Right on. All right, picture number 3.
The next one was a Bigfoot that was seen along the beach by a person.
I've heard about this.
And this one happened in Cooper Bay, Alaska. This actually happened on July 4th. And it was posted on July 23rd. And this is from a man by the name of Bosco Olson Jr. And he just happened to be on the beach salvaging dead wood, just collecting it, and then he passed a carcass of a walrus that had washed up on shore in spring, and it was still there, rotting, smelling pretty bad, and birds were pecking at it and eating pieces of it. And he walked past it, and then as he got 300 yards away, he turned around and he saw something that he thought at first was a raven kind of bobbing up behind it. And as he sat there watching it, he noticed that it wasn't a raven, and it was something that he thought at first was peeking its head, trying to see where he was. So he kept watching, and this was about 8:30 in the morning, and he was on an ATV, and so he was watching it, and it stood up, and he said it was like 2.5 times the size of the giant walrus that was there, and it was just watching him. And for about 5 minutes, it just stood there staring at him. And he could see the hair on it. He could see the muscular build. And it just stood there staring at him. And he said the legs were somewhat brownish, very tall and dark. He said if it was wearing clothes, the people had told him that it was a person standing there. He said he hadn't seen anybody that big on the island, and that somebody that big would wave to him. He knows everybody there, and nobody had that same build. They weren't friendly at all. They said they could feel his hair standing up when they were just staring at him. And he didn't know what to do, if he could jump on his ATV and take off or just stand there and watch. So he was watching for a while. And then he remembered that he had a camera. So he started videotaping. And then as soon as he started videotaping, the card on his camera said it was full.
Oh, man.
So he only got a few seconds of footage, but that hasn't been released. Only this one still image. He said the creature stood up and it walked down the beach, and he didn't know where it was going, if it was going to come towards him or not, but he said it picked up this giant log, and that's the log that you can see in the picture.
Ooh.
And then it walked back to the walrus, and it was, he said the log probably weighed about 150 pounds, and he used it to try to roll over the walrus. He stuck it under him, and you could see him wrestling with it, trying to get the walrus to turn over, and he couldn't hear if it was yelling or grunting because of the waves of the ocean there. Too much noise, but it couldn't get it over. And he says that a live walrus that size weighs about 4,000 pounds. So, and dead, he estimated about 2,000 pounds because it had been there for a while.
Right.
And he said he couldn't get it to roll over. So, but he watched it, and finally, he started to get nervous. So he didn't know what this thing would be capable of doing. So he slowly backed out of the area and took off on his ATV. And then he remembered he wanted to check out the area the next day. So he went back over on his ATV. This time he took his shotgun. And he went to the walrus, and he noticed that in the area where the walrus was, there was a knife, and the walrus wasn't. There was like a piece at the top that was cut out, but most of the other parts of the walrus just had the knife like driven into and just kind of sloppily cutting, not like somebody was skillfully taking something apart. It was just hacked to pieces.
Mm-hmm.
So he's thinking that the knife was left there, and this thing was just like cutting away, just trying to see what it would do. And he said the log was gone, so it might have drifted out and back to sea when the tide came up. But he did hear other reports in the area that people were finding large footprints about 5 inches bigger than what their footprints were, and some of the people had 10-inch footprints, and then they said the footprints were about 5.5 feet or 5.5 inches bigger than theirs along the sand there. So he estimated the size of the walrus to be 3.7 feet high, and the creature was 2.5 times bigger than that. So he said the creature was about 9 feet tall, 9.5 feet, or 9.25 feet tall. So whatever he saw there, he said he couldn't tell. He's not certain that it was a Bigfoot, and we haven't seen the video to see how it walks, if it has the right leg bend and all that stuff.
Right.
He hasn't released it. So
what island was this on again?
this was Hooper Bay, Alaska.
Okay.
I'm not sure where that is, but he says he knows everybody on the island.
Right.
And this was nobody from the island.
Wow. Cool. All right. What's next? We got picture number 5.
That was a painting that somebody did of the Bigfoot eating the walrus.
Oh, no. Yeah, I've already showed that one on the other one.
Okay, and the next one is just like a picture of a road.
Oh.
Because this one didn't have a picture, it's just a story.
Oh.
This was from August 15th. Mark Moberg did put this on the Bigfoot Encounters Only page. And this is a report from his mother, from when his mother was 17 years old in 1971 from the Olympic Mountains in Washington State. She was forced to go camping with her parents, and she didn't want to go, but she went on the condition that she could go to the town every day to call her boyfriend. So she took the family station wagon and drove into town one day, and she saw this guy on a motorcycle in front of her, and all of a sudden a owl came down and ran into the guy's bike and got stuck on his brakes. So the guy was swerving, and then the owl jumped down onto his leg and dug its claws into the guy's leg, so the guy ended up dumping his bike to jump off. So she slowed down and stopped to help him. And she found out that it was a park ranger on the bike. So he asked her to go to the ranger station up the road and get something so they could help the wounded owl. So she came back with the other park ranger who wanted to help too. And while they were there on the side of the road, she could hear a bunch of noises coming from the bushes on the side of the road. And she kept asking, "Do you guys hear that? What was that?" And the park rangers would only tell her, "They won't hurt you. Don't worry about it. They're just curious." And that's all they would say. They wouldn't say what it was. So later after the day, a couple hours, they were talking to her mother and the injured ranger, and they also happened to be going back to the ranger station to get everybody cleaned up. And she asked again what was in the forest earlier in the day, and the ranger told her it was a group of Bigfoot. And that's exactly, he said he used an Indian name that she no longer remembers, so he could have said Sasquatch or something like that.
Right.
But he told her that these people had a good relationship with him, and they don't like outsiders. He decided to work the campground to keep peace between the Bigfoot and the people. And he suggested to her that she stay close to camp after dark, and she shouldn't worry as long as she stayed close to camp. But he said he believed that they stuck around the crash site to make sure that forest ranger was okay, because they knew him and wanted to make sure that he was okay.
All right. Now, see, this is like, you're saying that what that other guy, the author who wrote that book, The Psychic Sasquatch, he's saying that the Sasquatches are gentle, nice, but here, you have a forest ranger telling somebody,
peace.
Don't go out there, stay close,
Yep.
Why is that? It's because, are they dangerous now?
They don't like strangers in their area.
Okay, so now let's talk about that. They don't like strangers in all areas. We have people going missing all the time, and that's something that we can talk about. People that we know tell us that Bigfoots are nice, they're innocent, they don't hurt anybody.
Yeah, leave them alone, you guys.
Yeah, but then you have people disappearing. Yeah, we can go back and forth on all this. I don't think we know all the answers yet to the Sasquatch. I know they're for real, no doubt about it in my mind. But we just don't know everything to know about these people. People say they're creatures, and we can go back and forth on that too. So
it seemed like we were averaging one a day going missing up there for a while there.
Yeah, here in the Sierra Mountains. I mean, it's
in the Nevada Triangle.
Yeah, I mean, we got people going missing here all the time. It's ridiculous. And then we can talk about that too. But all right, go ahead. What's next?
The last story. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
It's the Bigfoot Nation Sierra Weekend.
Yeah.
This is the first annual. It's going to take place Friday, September 12th through Sunday, September 14th. It starts at 4 p.m. on Friday and ends at 11 o'clock on Sunday. And it's put on by Bart Coutinho and Sean Evidence.
Right.
And then there's like 4 other people from the Bigfoot Bounty show.
Right.
That are going to take you up into the Sierras for the weekend. And what you need are camping supplies, plenty of water, and food.
And $400. No.
Probably. How much is it?
You ready?
Yeah.
And this is going to be in Sierra City, which is near the area where Justin, because he's also going to be there, Justin Smehoff.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to let you know exactly where to meet 48 hours before we go. And there's a very limited amount of tickets. The dinners and Sunday breakfast will be included in your ticket price. And that food is going to be served up by Justin. Everything that he's killed, and he's saved all the food and all the meat and everything. So you're going to be eating black bear, wild boar, deer, snake, shark, quail.
Hope you don't get
grouse.
sick and die right there.
Yep.
Food poisoning.
12 and under are free.
I'm 12.
Well, that's a good way to get the Sasquatch out there.
Justin will take you to the kill site.
To the kill site.
Really?
Yeah, you're going to be there for 2 hours. He'll give you a tour of the kill site, let you know exactly what happened.
How much? You haven't told me the price.
I know, I haven't told you the price.
Yeah, you sucker. You want to keep it to the end.
Dinner's at 5:30. He'll take you to the kill site from 7 to 9. And you're going to search all night long, starting at 9 o'clock and into Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And then you can wake up at noon on Saturday, and they'll have different workshops on how to take DNA samples, how to track casts, trail cams.
You're making sure you get
can
your
have
money's
another
worth, right?
wild game barbecue.
Okay.
And then an all-night search again. All for the amazingly low price of $300 a person.
Wow.
That's actually not bad.
$300 a person.
Is this the same
And
guy?
you only
that
get dinner and breakfast.
You had to
Dinners
pay-
the 2 nights
Huh?
and breakfast on Sunday.
Is this the same guy that shot,
Yeah.
quote unquote, and then he was charging people like $800 or whatever dollars to see the
No.
body?
You're talking about
that's Rick.
Rick Dyer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, this had nothing to do with. Yeah. How many tickets are they going to sell?
It doesn't say. It just says a limited amount.
A limited amount. Yeah.
So.
Well,
That,
if people
that
want to
goes-
go, I mean,
Hey, it fits with what's his name? Moneymaker.
yeah.
This is like $375.
It
or
says
something like
more
that.
guests will be added as we get closer, so you have to keep checking their site. It's BigfootWeekend.com, and they'll keep you updated on there as to who's going.
We will.
Right now, it's Stacy Brown, Rick Rowe is going to be there, and Justin, Bart, and Sean Evidence so far.
Enough of that.
It's like an all-star cast.
No, sarcastic.
They calling it a wild game barbecue.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
black bear, wild boar,
Wow, okay.
deer.
And, we'll take you for free. I mean, we're
Bring
not
your own
gonna
food.
charge. So okay.
Yeah, we'll take you. We can't guarantee you'll come back.
Yeah, that's right. We need we need to track them somehow. All right. What else is going on? That's enough of them.
That's it. Oh, I did talk to somebody on my route.
Uh-huh.
And I can't tell you his name or where he works, and he doesn't really know about all these conspiracy theories or anything, so I thought it was a good opportunity to ask him some questions.
Okay.
And I can't even tell you where he works or what he does, but he did say that the airport is their second biggest client. And I told him, well, what are you guys doing out there? And he told me, and I can't tell you, but he said that their biggest client is out there in Kerman. But he did tell me an interesting piece of information. I said, well, yeah, aren't they pulling a ton of dirt out of there? He said, oh, yeah, they're bringing out a ton of dirt. And I said, well, where are they all getting it from? Because they're not getting it from above ground. They have to be getting it from underground. He said, well, I don't know where they're getting it from, but they're pulling it out like crazy. And what I heard last week was that they pulled out too much. So now they're going to have to start taking some back.
What?
Yeah. And so where are they going to put it?
We'll talk about that.
You can't go above ground. They're not taking anything above ground, so it's got to be going back underground. So yeah, they screwed up.
They screwed up, and I think it's going to start collapsing.
Hauling it back in.
Okay, right on. All right. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. We're going to talk about that. What's going on here in Fresno, and I think. Okay. Anyways, all right, Danny. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
See ya.
Right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Danny.
All right. Okay. What do we have in the studio today? We have 3 guests. Kimarie and Baltazar and Yorick. Now, let's, why don't you get the microphone? The microphone's right there. Let's go with Mr. Shy over here first. I can't.
You can't read it?
August release Forest Service.
Another meeting by the Forest Service.
Oh, okay, we'll have to go to that.
And that goes with that Bigfoot report. Like, are they closing it because of the Bigfoot?
We'll talk about that. So, all right, Kimarie, thank you for showing up.
So it's Kimarie.
Kimarie, I'm sorry.
Kimarie.
I suck with names.
It's okay. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you, but only...
Now, let's do it again.
Okay, can you hear me?
There you
better.
go.
Yay, we can hear you.
Yeah, it's all these news adjustments. So, hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Baltazar, for hooking this all up today.
Welcome. You're welcome.
So, okay.
I'm honored. You're welcome.
All right, let's talk about the reason you're here. Introduce everybody to Yorick.
Well, I'm really so happy to be here, and I thank you so much, Baltazar, for coming into my life. And I have a tendency, since I've been carrying this amazing conscious mineral, ambassador since 2011, and it's my honor to carry him where he's called to go. And so I have a tendency to think that Baltazar might have even called him in. So I'm grateful to be here, and I always am in a mystery as to where we're going next and what we're going to discover and what we're going to share. So my experience has been, since meeting this amazing crystal skull in 2011, that I have, in order to facilitate this relationship, I've had to practice being completely in the now, being completely open and listening and receptive to what it is, where it is, and what's next in relationship to this giant semiconductor of a record keeper, essentially, for Gaia.
It's really giant, too. Like tell everybody how heavy that
35 and a half pounds of Lumerian crystal skull. We just say 36. We round it up because he's pretty heavy.
How old is he, you think?
Well, my question back to you would be, how old is the Earth's crust, which is 85% of it is crystal?
Right, but I mean, like, birthed into his now look, right? I mean, the rock could be old, but only in its current shape, or
Let me answer it this way. We're still finding out about this particular dimensional entity. We just found out. We just opened his records. I'm a part of a an amazing group of people who've been following us since January on this journey. We're walking the red road and, experiencing life in a good way and meeting people and correcting the records and making things good again, right? So I've been experiencing, learning about this dimensional entity since 2011. I didn't know anything about crystals.
Sure.
Right.
And so to answer that, we just found out by opening his records on the radio show last Sunday, he let us know, Tara, who was so wonderful to do that for us, that he's from Antarctica, which we're hearing and understanding is the last remains of Atlantis.
Oh, wow.
So I think we're just now putting the puzzle pieces together, so stay tuned.
That's interesting.
That's the best I can do right now. I mean, there's a lot I can share, but right now I feel in order to honor the mineral kingdom and in order to honor this technology that we've been blessed and gifted with, I don't want to speculate. I don't want to guess. There's no carbon in him, so we
Right.
can't carbon date him, right? What we do know, what I can share about a date, is that when we were on the journey in 2011, there were some codices that were delivered anonymously to a private art gallery in Los Angeles. And in those codices, it was revealed that in the 1300s, Mayan priests were actually using crystal skull-shaped technology to work with the elements to fortify their crops, their civilization, their operations. So that precedes what we've been taught in school, which was that it was discovered in the 1500s. I think the better statement on that would be, in order to correct the record, is that the highly coveted Turtle Island was usurped in the 1500s when the Native American was asked how much for this land. And that guardian of this earth said, how can I sell you something that doesn't belong to me?
Right.
I'm a guardian for this place.
So they took it anyway.
So they said, well, we have a flag. And they started doing business.
Yeah.
And they started by moving the civilizations that were there to a different area so that they could do business in the East. So that's a long answer to a short question, but
Right.
watch out, you'll get a lot.
But that,
That's what we're
that's
about
what,
here.
what we want to know. I mean,
Yeah.
I researched, when I found out we were going to have him as a guest, I was trying to find out about him or any skulls, and there really is not a lot of stuff. I mean, I know more about the people that carry him around and than I do about anything about those things, and there's so much like people that are fighting about it too. They don't know what they're talking about either. That's the funny part, is they say, that's a bunch of fake stuff, and then these people are like, well, we really, the ones actually taking care of the caretakers, like we don't know, we just only know this, but we're finding out more and more as they go, and the other people are just like, yeah, throw it away, it's fake. But actually some of the tests on them show, just like the pyramids and everything else, we can't make them, some of them.
Right.
So I mean, they're legit somehow, and they're old.
Well, the codices tell us that they work with the elements. And what I can share with you, my experience, I found out on my journey that my birthday is the Jaguar and the Mayan calendar concepts. And that's the bringer of the rains. Well, I'm putting the pieces of the puzzle together as I've been on this journey. I'm like a child. I'm learning in awe, and I don't profess to know anything. I'm just here learning and experiencing, like in that discovery. And so what I've experienced, a couple of stories I can share. This one is pretty amazing. We were in Sedona, one of the sacred locations that we visited on our journey. in 2011. We were actually, the intention was to visit these sacred spaces, honor the ancestors and the civilizations that had been in all those locations for many lifetimes before, and fire the grids, they said. So I didn't know really much about what that meant, firing the grids. What's a grid? What's firing it mean? I didn't know. So I was always in quandary and asking questions, and I learned a lot since then. But one experience I can share that I really think that people need to know so that they get a really good idea of the work that Yorick's doing here is I was having a conversation with a Vietnam vet, and I had gifted him some recycled bullets that were made into the shape of talons of eagles and rattlesnake tails, and they were just, someone had gifted me with them before I went on my journey, and I didn't quite know what I'd use them for, but he seemed to be the perfect elder to receive those because he was still suffering from all that conflict and war that happened in Vietnam. So we had a sacred smoke together by a little creek in Sedona, where years earlier some people had actually died in a sweat lodge there because of the chemicals that the wood was treated with. So I just got chills. Wow. So the Hopis that were there, the brothers, sang a prayer into the forest that we were there nearby, and they sang this prayer for like 2 full songs, like 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And after that sacred prayer session, we all sort of were left just wandering and experiencing. And that's when I was down by the creek. Someone had Yorick up where there was other ceremonies happening. So it was just me and him having a sacred smoke by the creek. And we began to talk and share stories. And I was looking at the water, and I was seeing all of our elders, and I was seeing the children, and I was seeing the vision of the traveling and the migration that was, you know, a part of our history. And I saw that we can't leave anyone behind. I saw the bubbles going back behind the stream to make sure that the slower elders were keeping pace and they were protected from behind. And I was just sharing. That's what happens when you do a sacred smoke. You know, you just share from your heart. And so my friend who was carrying it came over, and he wanted to do the honors. This gentleman I was speaking to wanted to put him in the water. So I let him put him in the water, and do you know what happened minutes after we put Yorick in the water? The fastest way for the crystals to speak to other crystals, mineral or liquid, which were liquid, is through water. So he went into the water. Minutes after, we had a hailstorm, and I'm not kidding you, golf ball size hail. What came to me was that the prayer was there to assist those souls and their relatives to ascend into their dimensional home, and came back down as part of the cycle into the water. And by the way, no one else in that whole valley that we were in experienced the hailstorm except those of us that were in the creek at the time. It literally was a sheet that went all across the water itself. We had to take cover. It was a golf ball size hailstorm. Okay, so I understood Jaguar and Bringer of the Rains to be of a power that we needed to be responsible for, especially working with these sentient conscious beings. So he was assisting us in completing that cycle and healing that valley from those people who had maybe got caught in a dimensional elevator, if you will. And this helped them release that energy and release their family and friends who were suffering. And so, one of many stories. Thanks for letting me share that.
Yeah. That How did you acquire Yorick?
Great question. So, Glenn, who's passed on last year, he's here on my left shoulder, and I'm carrying a torch for him. Our goal is to free humanity from the constraints of the oppression and usurpation and tyranny that we've experienced since Vietnam. He was a naval officer, Glenn was, in Vietnam, and he never wanted anyone to experience what he had to experience. He was so sensitive. And one day, after knowing him for 3.5 years or so, Glenn, Grub, I feel you here. Him and his wife Susan are the keepers. I call them the door keepers because they're the gateway that he came in through. He shared with me a video about the measuring of your aura. I don't know if you've heard about those tools, but Drumvala Melchizedek talks about those a lot. And this video sent me over to Drumvala's website, where it showed the Mayan journey. For the first time in 25,000 years, the Mayans were opening up their dance, prayer, ritual to the public. And I was like, every time I went to speak the calendar, I was bawling from my gut. I couldn't get the schedule out. So all of a sudden, I realized that a prayer of mine was answered, that I want to know more about my ancestors. Show me what I need to know. And all of a sudden, I'm sharing the schedule with Glenn, and he says, I guess it's time to go get the crystal skull. And I said, I've known you for 3.5 years, and you've never talked about a crystal skull. What are you talking about? He didn't have a name at the time, this one. He said, well, a buddy of mine who I served in Nam with has a crystal shop. He's a crystal miner. And someone brought these in from Brazil a few years back to Sedona looking for carriers. He practically gave them away, looking for carriers. And I think it was part of the work to fire the grids, to have all of these crystals. 85% of our Earth's crust is crystal, so how perfect to actually have them go to work together like a bunch of semiconductors and start communicating to help us all remember who we are, what our part is, how we get to play. So he said, that's how I know about it. And I think he has one that needs to go. So he mailed this crystal to me in New York City, asked me if I would go, and I said, of course I'll go. I'll take this crystal to meet the Mayans. So how I acquired it was in service to someone who couldn't take the journey himself. And I said, absolutely. So the minute I took him out of the bowling ball bag, guess what happened? This is how he got his name, actually, too. Took him out, put him on a glass top table. The television wasn't on. It's a big screen on the wall, right? You know how cable goes HM1, HM2, and you actually have to choose the channel you're going to pick? No. He sat down on the glass table, and it went right on to a nature channel. And that was my first meeting, the trickster. So his name, I told Glenn about that experience, and Glenn said, well, it sounds like Yorick to me. And that's from Hamlet. Oh, poor Yorick, I knew him well, which is the ego. And the reason that the Mayans use the crystal skull as a trophy or as an ambassador to work between dimensions is because they represent the heart, the liquid crystal that's next to our heart, and the crystal that is our third eye. So when someone, and I'm getting chills again, when someone has dedicated and devoted their life to the heart and to being in service here as an ambassador for the Great Spirit, they get gifted with one of these guys. So I take that as an honor, a great honor, and I'm here in service, and that's how I came about being the carrier of this crystal skull, and I'm so grateful. My life has changed forever since 2011.
What were you doing before 2011?
I'm so glad you asked. I was actually, I was doing hair enhancement. I had been training and teaching people all over the, Turtle Island and United States and Mexico and a couple other places how to enhance hair loss. This is before I really learned that there's definitely cures for cancer and there's all these things, before I looked behind the curtain. I was in service to assist people with their dignity and their, grace in recovering from cancer. And because I worked in Hollywood and I worked on celebrities, I was getting privy to some of the different concoctions that were being used to help celebrities keep their hair. Well, I felt that everyone needed to know that. So I had been on a couple radio shows. Thank you, Janine Garofalo. So many people learned a lot from me being able to be out there and sharing the knowledge. And that's why I think shows like this are so important, because people really are looking for the information that leads them to their next chapter in their work and their lives. So I'm so grateful for this kind of venue, and I know he is too, given what he shared on the last show when his records were opened. So I was specializing in hair enhancement and for cancer survivors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that, or?
I haven't.
This is like a full-time thing now, isn't it?
So there's a bridge there. So I had an amazing business. I had clients in New York, I had clients in LA, and what happened was I went to the top of my little hill. I was getting ready to conquer that mountain. And in one fell swoop, in a year, everything shifted and changed. And next thing you know, I'm behind on my payroll taxes. Good old IRS. So what happened was I had I call it a divine intervention now. But at the time, no one was taking me off that mountain because I had work to do. I had people to save, So what essentially happened was I learned by looking behind the curtain that there's some nefarious things going on behind that curtain. And it's not just one little old man pulling a trigger. There's many little old men with big bare bellies who have only their intentions in mind. And they have only to harm in mind. And they have only to interfere in mind. And so they picked the wrong Cherokee Sicilian to mess with is pretty much what I have to say about the matter. But at this point, I actually put my cape on and turned into Superwoman. And for the last 7 years, I've been protecting people against the international bankers and the IRS men in black suits who collect money for London and the Vatican. And essentially, I've been very successful at it. And I think that that's where Yorick comes in, because that success led me to being able to be someone who was able to teach, transmute the information, transform the conversation, close an old chapter of an old world order and an old way of doing things, and begin to correct the record so that people can start to heal, especially those who've been, shall we say, not ever spoken about, like our ancestors, like the natives who were here guarding this Turtle Island. So we're here in reverence and in honor and doing the work to assist in the remembering, the information. That's what the crystals do. They hold memory, right? We know that this is a sacred pearl.
Those nefarious people you're talking about,
yeah,
they go to great lengths to dispose of any history or remembering anything, because they want only us to know their agenda. You know what I mean? And that's the most important thing to them, and we're all just like swilling beer and watching games and and watching everything go to heck in a handbasket, and nobody cares. It's almost like they're brainwashed.
They are controlling us so we don't find out the truth.
Right.
As simple as that.
And that's why we even started doing what we're doing, because it's angering to find out, there's these things going on, and most everybody rather turn it on and find out the score,
right?
Than find out what's really behind the curtain, like what you're saying. And it's important to know these things. Because one day you're going to turn the TV on and it's going to be some guy sitting there telling you something you don't like, and you can't do anything about it anymore because you watched too many games and you ignored everything so long that now that you lost control.
Yep.
Everyone lost control. But I'm feeling like everybody's waking up nowadays, and
people are starting to wake up,
and it might
little
be
by little.
These guys popping out. It hasn't been a long time since those guys have made the scene, really. And it's interesting that what you're saying is really interesting.
Yeah, we are opening up people's minds here.
Hopefully.
Maybe not fast enough.
Yes. It just, wow. I'm just like you said, goosebumps.
Yeah.
This is what our show is about. It's about giving people the truth. Turn off your TVs. It's time to listen. After we say something, go do your research. Come back and say, wow, you guys were right. And that's what we have been getting a lot of lately. We thought you were full of crap by telling us this. I went on the internet, Googled it. Holy beep! You're right.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then now they are watching us and listening to us in numbers.
Beautiful.
In numbers.
So are the little guys behind the curtain.
Yes, they are watching us.
The sad part.
I
Yeah.
have a message for them. They should stay tuned. I have a
Yeah,
message.
you don't have to be afraid of them, really.
No.
They're actually more afraid of us than. But only they're like this big dog in a room, you know, that's on a chain that can't get to you, and they're barking really loud, and everybody's like, ah! But really, that's all you gotta. They can't get you, really. They can stick their IRS dogs on you, but really, I mean, even they can't get you if you know the truth.
Right, the ways around it.
Yeah,
So,
that's right, yeah.
yeah. So, what you are doing is very cool.
Yes, I think so, too.
I think it's very cool for you to drop your life and to start a new journey. It's what we're doing as well. Doors have opened up for us the past couple of years that would have never imagined would have opened up for us.
In fact, we weren't even trying.
No, no. They're just like, come on in. And it's continuing that way. And we cannot comprehend the things that are happening to us right now. The people that are coming and knocking on our door where we are not going out and knocking on their door. Probably the same as yours and the same as yours. Okay? Let's get Baltazar. Baltazar, you're a Sanger native, man.
Sanger native. Sanger bangers, baby. Sanger bangers, baby.
Okay, what the hell?
Sanger bangers.
What the hell? I mean, I'm from Sanger, and then all of a sudden, Baltazar, who graduated in Sanger High School, 3 years. I think you're 3 years younger than me.
Yeah,
I got
87.
84 here.
Yeah.
And I got a call a couple of days ago. You invited me to the summer solstice last year, and I had to work that day, and that weekend I had to work. I couldn't make it. You gave me a call, I don't know, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, about Yorick being in town, and I said, wow.
The message was, call me now.
Call me.
Call me now. With the phone number.
With the number, and then we started talking. I said, we got to get you guys in here. There are many people out there who know of the crystals, who have heard of the crystals. Example, Indiana Jones, and
Right.
I mean, come on, if you haven't seen that movie, you shouldn't even be watching the show right now.
Right.
I've told people that. And a lot of the shows and TV movies and what you see on TV, there's a little bit of a truth in that. I think they're giving us pieces,
Emulating aspects of the
yes,
truth. Yeah.
so that way you can. It's like they want the smart ones to figure this out, and they want the dumb ones to go away.
What?
So when
You know what I heard?
What?
I heard they can't do anything to us without telling us first. Right? It's like giving permission. Right?
International law. You have to give
So
notice.
they go and they show it to you, and even though they're not telling you they're going to do it,
Right.
it's like pre-telling you, and then whenever later when you catch it, and you're going, hey, we didn't give you permission, like, hey, we've been laying it out there. Remember this movie and this and this
movie
and
or
this.
this rock star,
Yeah.
this Super Bowl, halftime show.
Right.
There is just
You should have said stop then. No.
there are if people need to just look right in front of you because it's there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are afraid. But a lot of people think it's bullcrap, and that's why we're doing this, to tell you it's not bullcrap. You guys need to just open your frickin' mind now. It's as simple as that.
And your hearts.
And your
Yeah,
hearts.
and your hearts.
Because you're going to be left out in the cold, and the people who know about this are going to be the survivors, I think. What got you involved? Tell everybody what you do as far as the crystals.
I'm an Akashic record practitioner, and I'm a member of the Akashic Records World Council. And in so doing, it's an ancient way, very ancient way that, as a matter of fact, in this Earth incarnation originated from the Mayans. It was a sacred Mayan prayer that the Mayans kept sacred for thousands of years. Back in 1960 is when the Mayan councils decided it was time to share the prayer with the world. That's a gentleman by the name of Johnny Prochaska was the first one that was brought through, and he was brought in because of the soul work he had done. And many of us, and that's what we all have in common, is this soul work. Yeah, we have this 3D life of what we do, but that soul work. So that prayer was brought in, and it started teaching the sacred method of prayer. It was translated into Spanish, and then later it was translated into English. It's a sacred prayer. We belong to an international council, Akashic Records practitioners. And so doing that work, it's really helped ground in folks and their willingness and their opportunity to connect directly without hearing the white noise of life, of their television, the white noise of their job, the white noise of all these other stories, and connecting themselves.
Tell the people out there what the Akashic Records are.
So the Akashic Records, Akasha is a Sanskrit word, and it's an old word. It means from where all knowledge comes from. All knowledge comes from. So it's basically a sacred library of the inception and separation of our soul beings from Creator Source, from that inception on. And so it's a sacred prayer, sacred opportunity to open those doors and to get into your history.
And I want to bring it into real life right now, and that our televisions and our phones and our radios are actually run by a tiny fingernail-sized chip of a crystal. Because they hold memory, and they're able to transmit and receive.
And
right?
so we get a chance to be able to do that. And so that's a part of
very special work. What you
very,
do.
very, it's very beautiful. And so we get to do work with folks. But through that, I belong to different groups, helping. This is my service work. I have an 8 to 4:30 job.
Right.
I specialize in the work that I do. Of finishing off my second master's degree in that type of work. However, I know that this is my soul journey, and I have been asked as a representative, an ambassador, so to speak, with the Akashic World Council to bring the sacred method to Fresno, to the Fresno area. And I gladly do this. I just wholeheartedly do this. But in so doing, there's different gifts, because I took that on, and I've been willing to take that on, and doors have opened. One of the doors that opened was a download I received when I met with this group of mystics down in Southern California a couple years ago, and I saw these crystal skulls. I saw this light labyrinth moving forward and the sacred sound, and I made it real. And so I started an organization. I call it Summer Solstice. Skulls. And last year we were able to bring in a crystal skull and use this light holotope to have an eye-opening transition of dimensional space and time with your eyes open, a meditative state, from the 3rd to the 8th dimension, as the vibration of the crystal was through it. And the creator of one of Tool's websites, his name is Itom Lab, he came in from LA, and he played this metal drum, and it was so trance-inducing with eyes open. With eyes open. So that was the big thing for the adults, but the most important aspect of it was for children. So what we did is I had 3 shows with this crystal skull. In those days, it was Einstein that was here last year. And these kids, these little mystics came in, and they sat with the crystal skull. And these kids were in this half circle. My children got a chance to be there. And there was probably 15 other kids who were just in awe, and they were talking about the orbs they were seeing. They were talking about the shape of what they were seeing with the crystal skull, with the tone and the sound and the light. And that's what the future is. I mean, we're tilling the grave right now. We're
washed
already
up.
we already picked out where we're going to bury him, and just yeah. But they're our future. They're our future. And so I've been moving through that, and as I move through those dimensions, continue to contact the grids, the sacred structure, the ancient structures in the Central Valley and in the higher dimensions. Through that conscious work, they show up. They show up, and this is the grounding for all of us. That whole level of humanity, that grounding for all of us. And as a matter of fact, when we opened up the records, when Tara Jolly, my Akashic teacher, she was in Fresno because I had organized these classes, this level 1, level 2 classes for Akashic practitioners to learn the sacred way for themselves to have that contact. She happened to be here, and complete, divine synchronicity. We were able to get on the radio show, open up Yorick's records. And what did I do? I brought my children, because they're the future. They're the ones that this is about. We're kind of washed up, and we try to do as much as we can, but it's like taking a tree that's already bent this way out of many years and trying to straighten it back up. We break a couple of branches here and there as they're trying to focus back up. Whereas the children, our children, they're on.
Children before a certain age can see things, they can hear things before that eye closes up forever. And that's why children, like my son, when he was 5, 6, he was saying, "Daddy, what is that over there? Who is that?"
Yeah.
And he was able to tell us things, and we knew in our heart that he was actually witnessing these things.
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to tell people here, that the governments of the world know we have that ability to do that, and they are preventing us from finding out the truth.
Even at our age, except for like when we were little kids, they started putting stuff in the water.
Right.
And
Television, mind-numbing.
yeah, they've been doing everything to stop everything.
Not
you know.
for much longer.
Yeah, not for much longer.
That's true.
So,
You're right.
So that's the story of how I came, was asked to prepare the way and just provide the space.
Right.
And I was in meditation and prayer opening my records, and your name came through. My angels heard that, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna send Jeffrey a message.
Bam!
Bam! And I was gonna hold on. You said, well, I don't know how long we're gonna be here. And I said, okay. And I'm thinking, I'm talking to her higher self. She said yes, we'll stay. We'll do this. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we were a part of this Reiki clinic. I belong to the healing community, and I said, and we'll provide a space so Yorick can be set up, and folks that are receiving Reiki healing treatment, I'm doing Akashic records readings for them, can be a part of this energy field, because it's on. And I love how so gracefully Kimarie was able to speak of the Mayan Codex that was recently discovered, and the testing that it's undergoing right now, and the ceremonies of this ancient crystal skull. It's sacred knowledge. It's sacred knowledge. They're not a god. They're not something that are idols to us. It is a tool. It is a tool, and it's a sacred tool for us.
It's
for
like a
all
flash
of us.
drive.
It is like a flash drive.
It is like a flash
It is like a flash drive.
It's a flash drive, and then when you put them all together, it unlocks the flash.
You got a hard drive.
You got a hard drive.
Yeah, 10 gigabytes.
And that was
We're the software.
where the
Right,
soft,
yeah.
yeah. And that was the first ceremony we did, was in the San Joaquin River, outside of Fresno, North Fresno. We took Yorick, we took Nikolai, my elongated skull, crystal skull friend over there.
And the water.
And the
feeds
in the water.
The food.
In the water for the
What
food,
water?
and the air.
Ah.
I know.
Yeah. Sacred
There's
prayer.
a
Sacred
lot
prayer.
of water that we're not being told about yet, that the elders know about, and those that do the dowsing know about. I'm in touch with a few elders who have made it their business to begin to drill wells that are 300 feet deep to bring the water to the deserts. So we are finding out that there are massive lake beds of pure water that's been resting and percolating near all of this crystal grid information. Not only is there water coming our way, but magnetic, plasmatic, orgasmic. Can I say that on the
Sure,
radio?
Yeah.
you just did.
Purified, hydrating, magical water substances that are getting ready to come. So our job is to get everybody ready. Can you really get ready for a celebration? Can you really get ready for a world global circus and carnival where the new technologies are going to be, what do they call that when you debut them for the first time?
Debut.
Can you imagine a place where children are welcome, which, by the way, we're learning a lot from them.
Yes.
They're waiting for us, BTW, where the children are expecting you to be in a costume. They're expecting you to play and have fun. You know you have a child. I'm speaking to those children out there that are waiting for us. We're coming. And we're going to create the greatest show on earth. And this one will be different. Why? Because it will be the show that never ends. So for the first time in our history, the baby boomers, the elders, will actually hear about an event that they'll make plans to be at because it's one that's never going to end. It's never happened in our recorded history. So we've been shown from the other dimensional caricatures and guides that I work with that the next thing on the plate is to prepare our emotional selves, our nervous system, our hearts, our minds to be ready for a show, the greatest show on earth. And guess where the location's purported to be, where they would like us to have it. Think about it right now for a second. I'm not going to answer it. Where do you think people go right now? Where do people come from all over the world to go see magic and entertainment?
Like L.A.?
Close.
Magic Mountain?
That's where they produce a lot.
Yeah.
Where do they go to actually get the entertainment they're looking for?
Vegas.
Thank you. Isn't Vegas a desert?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a great place for the friendlies to come?
Well, I mean,
Wouldn't
they
it-
already have their highway right there.
Well, right.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's a place where everybody's welcome, no matter where you're from in the world.
That's true.
Your ritual, your costume, your belief system, your ideas could actually be presented at this global fair that never ends. It only grows like a cell, right? Imagine happy cells growing for the first time on this planet. Imagine that's the crystal grids they're talking about. Imagine people from all over the world get excited about the possibility of having a festival that doesn't end. That's the biggest thing people have. That's the biggest issue they have with the Boom Festival, Burning Man, all these different festivals, is that they're only 3 days long, 10 days long. I have to go back into the real world?
Right.
Ew, where they want my money? So what if we actually had a place where people could go, pitch a tent, camp, and stay a while? I'm just saying, it would be a way to show the energetic migration of what people are prepared and ready for now. And we could actually have our radio shows and our television shows be ones that are reporting the good news from around the world, the new technology that's happening. You know what? These guys are just holding space for us.
Right.
We're going to have to ultimately put our hand up and do the whole, like, how does that work, this new computer? How does that little smartphone work? How does the iPad work? Think about all of the elders that are tripping out because we've gone so techno. What if you could go to a tent at a global fair and actually have a class in how to use an iPad?
Well, it's like,
I get chills.
this show, I can literally broadcast from this stupid little
Yeah.
phone. All right? I could take this to a tent. As long as I have service,
Yes.
I can hit record and I can broadcast the show from this thing right here.
And what if I told you that the service that we're about to have globally is via satellite? We won't need to be on the grid,
Man, I'll love that.
on the titty.
I hate the
Can I
grid.
say that on here?
Just did.
I won't have to be beholden to something that charges me a fee.
Man.
Can you dig it?
You just hit a freaking button with this dude here.
I mean, I hate
PG
that. Yeah, I mean,
It's called
everything is
usury. What you're
metered.
talking about is called usury. Let's teach the people what it is.
It's slavery. I mean, they have us as slaves.
It
Go
is
to
slavery.
the pump, the gas station. It's metered by the, like the 10th of a gallon or the 100th of a gallon. You turn on, now they put these smart meters in your house. They know exactly how many seconds when you turned the light on and when you turned it off, what by what amount of power is being generated. They know when your refrigerator comes on and off, your washing machine,
He's talking about they, but you should know that they are the ones that are going to be changing the diapers in the elders' hospitals
Man,
for
I
their
hope
rehabilitation. They won't be here very much longer. Now, they might get an invitation to this fair after they've rehabilitated.
They suck.
But
right now.
they are no longer going to be in control. Why? Because the children no longer consent. We don't consent anymore. And the airwaves don't consent anymore.
I've been not consenting for a long time.
I know, but do you really want to be like the grandparents of old talking about how you had to walk back and forth 8 miles in the snow during the Depression? Really?
Right.
How much longer do we want to talk about what we don't want?
Right.
And when will we start creating together, dreaming the dream together of what we do want? Now, important for people to understand. That's why I'm really into teaching. So I'm glad you said what you said, because I think it's important that people know. Usury, U-S-U-R-Y. Look it up. It is against every sacred law ever written in our history.
That's why
even
we
on the walls.
created the United States to get away from it.
What is usury? The only time Jesus ever talked about getting upset in the Bible was when he turned the tables over in the temple and said, money changers out. Okay? That's usury. I'm just saying, regardless of what you cherish or what you honor or what you believe or what you practice, at the end of the day, if you're using someone else's anything, it's usury. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you're using someone else's anything and then turning around and charging them for it, water, it's usury. At the end of the day, it's all designed to be usury, which is what we call parasites.
Yeah.
Or a business.
A corporation ruled by shareholders who also believe in usury.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very important to distinguish where you're voting with your current dollar, which is about to transform to, with our times. We're about to have substance again. The last two presidents that tried to have substance in our circulation so that we could actually be in honor with each other, Lincoln, who was killed,
Kennedy.
and Kennedy in broad daylight, by the way, the moment the United States of America lost its innocence. By the way, we haven't healed from that yet.
No.
So we have to begin the process of sharing the solutions on airwaves like this, television shows like this.
And I
what's
love
coming.
when you said you vote with your dollar.
Yes.
I've been saying that on Facebook since Facebook.
Yes.
And even actually before that in MySpace, but nobody was listening in MySpace. They rather look at the little glittery thing, you know.
We vote with our attention too.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say a message out there for the people that are what I would consider children, still waking up from a fog. They're just like, do we really want them to wake up to a fire in the kitchen?
Too late. No.
Right. Well, right. Okay, so then wouldn't we rather them kind of stay asleep for a minute longer while we kind of clean it all up?
It would be nice.
Okay, so we're cleaning it up. By being on this show, we're cleaning it up right now, okay? So when they wake up, they're going to want to go somewhere and celebrate. They're going to want to celebrate with us. So let's let them stay sleeping and let's not make them wrong for that. They've been surviving.
Right.
We don't need to keep rehashing how they've taken over our airwaves and they've mind controlled us and blah, 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 blah. What we need to do is start to put the news out that there's rumor about safety, protection, truth, honesty, equity, fairness, love, relationship, connection. We have to start putting that into the grid so that when they do wake up and the football game's over, they go back out to the tailgate And there's a bunch of clowns with balloons passing out tickets to ride the moon if you want.
Sweet.
We get to create this together. We get to pray this vision together. They call it praying it together. So then we manifest that vision. So I love educating, but I also love creating. And what kids are the best at is visualizing.
Man, I have 6 kids, I know, and 26 grandkids.
So you're a protector.
Oh, yeah,
I get where
play
you're coming
with them
from.
all the time.
Yes.
And in fact, I wish I knew what I know now with how I, work with the grandkids, with my kids. I wish I would, I got a lot of experience now. I wish that I could turn the clock back and actually do the things that I do with my grandkids. My kids would have been sharper.
They call that wisdom.
Yeah. But, but only at least the grandkids are going to be tuned in and not duped, and, they'll be...
Right.
Rumor has it that we don't die.
I knew that. I mean, this might die, but we live forever.
But rumor has it that the technology that's going to be presented at this World Circus
It's gonna
grows back
change
limbs,
change this to
grows back limbs for the Vietnam vets,
Sweet.
also cures everything and anything. Go into this little iPod, this little, what do you call it, like a body pod, where you go in there and just like, what, you have this issue?
Sure sounds like Stargate, the movie.
Right?
Man, I need that.
I'm
right
just
now.
saying.
That's what I'm
Step in
saying.
here.
That's what I'm saying.
You just step in this little thing right here.
Right.
Close
But
the door.
where would that be where would the safest place for them to be able to come and show us what they got? A circus.
It would,
A carnival, a fair, some place where people choose by free will, and this is really important. I want to discuss this before we end the show. Free will. We're going to go to a place where we agree to go in and see and be awed and see something new. We live in a free will universe. That's the gift we were given by Great Creator, the Great Spirit, right?
And our Constitution.
So that's why they, the friendlies, haven't come and interfered. That might be why the Sasquatches aren't using fire. There's this rule in the universe called non-interference. There's this rule called cause no harm and cause no loss.
Star Trek, second one.
Yes.
Where they were on they actually showed the natives a ship, and they weren't supposed to because they interfered.
Thank you. They weren't ready. They weren't
ready.
prepared for it, and they didn't choose to see something new yet.
Right.
That's the importance of the landscape and the sacred space that we're going to be creating with this location, is that people are going to get to choose to come from all over the world to see the latest, greatest, what's new. Then they won't be interfering. So we'll have an area where the friendlies can land. Hawaii just created a sacred space where the friendlies can land. They're going to be able to come and land, and people are going to be able to say, when can I go to the moon? When can I go on your ship? So it's a safe place that's going to be created for those that want to be pioneers of a new era. And the old system, the old trade route will operate until it doesn't have any more fuel.
Hopefully not long. I would like to see them run out of gas.
Yes.
Like soon. And I don't even mind not even having money. Really.
Right.
I could see this happening, but at the same time, it's like we gotta fight for it. I mean, it's not like I what I'm getting, and maybe that's just how I am. That's how I'm think. Is it sounds all happy-go-lucky. They're gonna come. We're gonna be all happy, and it's like no, it can't be like that. You're gonna have a fight on your hands. We already do.
And that's the agreement. And so, people like us, we make the sacrifices. We make the sacrifices. We make the sacrifices. That's what we're doing. That's what this is about. It was beautiful last year when we were doing summer solstice. Itom came, and he brought it looks like a flying saucer, this metal drum. And he sat all night with my kids. His poor girlfriend went to bed. He sat all night with my kids, and my boys, Jared and Jordan, Madeline was bringing them crystals on this giant dinner table that I have, and they were creating grids.
Oh, I saw that
patterns.
picture.
You've seen that.
I saw that picture.
Yeah. That was, I didn't say anything.
the force, Luke.
I didn't say anything, Jeffrey. They heard the music.
And I see
And
them,
they
they're like
travel.
messing with the scrolls. They're positioning them
it,
on
yeah.
here like
I did.
this
I
and
did.
like-
I stayed back, and Tom sat there. We make the sacrifices. We make the sacrifices because as the children, and we do the best we can. We do the best we can, and as we do this for the children, they get to receive that. They receive that purity and message. They receive that purity and message. My teacher today, Tara, asked me. She says, she checks me all the time. I constantly do that work with her, and she says, "Why did you invite your children to see the skull last week? I want to hear it in the 3D." I said, that's why they hired me to be their dad.
Yeah.
That was one of the major agreements, besides keeping them safe and helping them open up, is to allow them that opportunity. They're going to take what they need to take from it. But this is going to be their world. This is going to be their world. We're, like I said, tilling the grave already. And that's why we do it. That's why we do it. That's why we make the sacrifices we do in light and journey. My kids are great. They've gotten used to it. I unplug the TV all the time.
The war has to be over.
Yeah,
We have to
yeah.
declare peace.
We do. And it's difficult, and they want to fight us with it, but we unplug. We unplug from the NFL football games. The hundreds of thousands that show up for this massive dumbing down.
Competition.
You're right,
war.
right. And so we give them opportunities, and that's what we do. And that's why we've been called. And we're good at doing that in the Central Valley, aren't we, Jeffrey?
Man,
Man,
you know
those
what?
Sager bangers, I'm telling you.
There is something going on here in the valley that we need to talk about. I started this many moons ago, all right? And it was because of curiosity. Why is there things flying in the skies? Why, can I see something in the corner of my eye, but not totally? There is something else outside of what we see here that I want to know more about, all right? But Fresno, to me, seems to be a magnet for some reason. And at this point in time, I don't know what it is, but there are other people who, example, groups, military, for example, that are here that are telling me, yes, there is something bigger than you would ever imagine. And we were talking about that before we went on the air about the dirt at the airport. They're constantly taking out dirt at the airport because they're digging underground, people. All right, we have an underground facility. But this started way back in the 1940s. There is something else happening here. I believe Fresno is part of that grid. It's very strong here. And I want to show you some pictures. North Fresno happens to be a very, very special place for lights in the skies, for entities running around. And one day I took a journey with a friend of mine and we went walking. And we ran into something. We found something that didn't look right to me. And what I want to do is I want to show you what we found north of Fresno. Okay. We're talking structures that I think are very old. I think these are Mayan Indian.
Wow.
Okay. There is much more underground than we've actually been, Alan and I, we've actually been there.
See now the walls?
Yeah, look at the walls.
Okay, the walls, you can follow the wall all the way down, and then you can see where they dug it out, like they dug that part of the wall out, and the rest of it is still under the hill.
Yeah.
They blocked it off. Weren't there rocks and everything in the entrance where they had blocked it off?
Oh, yeah, you can't get underneath.
Oh, yeah, there is.
But only you could see where when you could follow the wall into the mountain, and then the mountain, they haven't finished digging the wall all the way out.
Yeah, there is more pictures.
But they tell you that's not what that is. That's a mine.
It's a mine,
Yeah.
a copper mine, gold mine.
But
We
They had copper mines around there. Like I had 20 acres in the hills up here. Had 2 copper mines on it. Didn't have none of that kind of stuff, right?
Right. Wow, look at that.
Yeah, that's all quartz.
Okay.
Quartz again. Quartz we were
Okay.
talking about.
Okay. How we found this spot was by accident. There is heavy military presence, heavy government presence around this area. Have been for many, 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 many years. I believe that our government set up shop here because they found something. Example, Transformers, the first movie, the cube that they found in Nevada, and in order to cover it up, they built Hoover Dam around it. All right? I believe there's still a lot more underground. We met the property owner who tells us this was a mine. But Alan and I know better than that.
Well, he also, when we first met him, he took us really away from his house, like away. And then he told us all about us. He told me my birth sign. He told me a lot of stuff, and then he told Jeffrey about his stuff. We had a TV producer with us that just came into town. He told her about her. In fact, it was the quietest drive away from the place because we were not expecting to be told everything about us by this guy.
Okay.
Wow.
And we drove by like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like, the producer was walking with the owner of this property, and she told him right there, well, have you ever seen anything crazy or weird? And I was walking 10 feet behind them, and he says, well, why don't you ask your friend back there? He knows. And he's never met me before. So obviously, we call him the gatekeeper. Now, entities. People have seen weird creatures walking around here. Are you familiar with the night walkers or the night crawlers of Fresno, the beings that were captured on film?
I've heard of them. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there he is. He looks just like that.
Okay. There is a very, very well-known artist from Fresno who makes these, who happens to have these up there near this area. There is
On that property.
Yeah. It's this is what I want to do. How long? Kimarie, right?
Kimarie.
Sorry.
That's all right.
All right. How long are you going to be in town for? I heard you're going back to LA. When are you coming back?
We're actually going to head north first.
Okay.
We have some work to do up north. We're looking for some hemp farms that are cropping up everywhere now that the prohibition's ending and it's about to be legal to do industrial hemp, which would be amazing because that could power our cars and make our clothes and actually heal our bodies.
And cure our bodies.
Yes, cure our bodies.
Cure our
Bring
bodies,
light back into our bodies. Yeah. So we're gonna go do that real quick, and then there's, we're gonna be up and down the Northwest for a while, and we are gonna be on radio shows, and we are getting ready to be on networks and such. And I really think this introduction is timely. What's happening?
Oh yeah.
The reason why I mentioned that is I believe there is more. There's something very special going on here. There is. There's a lot of power here, and I want to ask the gatekeeper if maybe when you're in town again, if we can bring you and Yorick and set up shop there at night and see what happens.
Yeah, and those that can access the Akashic records, I think would be important because then they can translate what the messages are that we need to know from these crystalline, conscious ambassadors.
Like he might be able to unlock what, because when you go to there, not that one so much. That's on top of the hill in a natural formation. We didn't know.
That's
it was
amazing.
natural. It's just sticking out of the ground, and it's huge blocks. Huge.
Amazing.
But the other one, it has quartz crystals all over the ground, piles of them.
Piles and
Wow.
piles. And he says
Those
they
are
dug that. They
doorways and
dug. Yeah,
portals.
that is right there. Is energy?
And
Is information?
That's what we thought it was. When we
I
walked
mean,
in
no.
there.
Literally, there's piles of quartz everywhere. piles. We brought some home one day because my wife was a school teacher in the whole 9 yards. But the gatekeeper actually told us, and I told him, "What have you seen here?" And he said, "I actually saw an alien." He actually said that to Ellen and I, and we went, "What?" I don't know if he is part of the group that are trying to keep that secret, or he just doesn't want to tell us what's really going on. We're trying little by little, and I think he knows where we're coming from. But he's also
hasn't arrested us yet.
No,
he
he
had us arrested.
Yeah, he's a photographer. He's actually, I've actually been on top of one of the blocks there, and he's actually took photographs of me and got auras and the whole 9 yards. So he's into that. So I think he would really appreciate, Yorick coming in and literally, there's so much a vibe, there's a big time vibe here that I think all this, I think something might happen.
Well, we were just recently up in Coarsegold. We saw some activity in and out of the mountains. We saw that. Yeah.
What?
That was our first school date.
That was it was. It was right after we did ceremony in the San Joaquin River.
Uh-huh.
We went up to Coarsegold to folks that ended up being part of your family.
Ended up being Choctaw Cherokee bloodline of mine.
Yeah.
Second cousins, my mom's cousin actually, and they. So the sacred hoop is mending. The tribes are gathering.
To me, guys. No.
Yeah, totally. It wouldn't surprise me at this point. At this point, I realize that we're
Or
all
my
connected.
wife.
We're all one. We're all united in some way. But we're experiencing the mystery and the reunion of that day by day. The more we meet each other and the more we open our hearts to one another, then we marry each other again. We become family again. And that's what I think we're doing here.
Like I'm quarter Cherokee.
Are you?
And then my wife is quarter Cherokee.
Wow.
And we go back, like her grandfather is a real famous painter. But he passed away, but all his paintings are hanging in the Cherokee Hard Rock and all in the Indian headquarters and everything over there in Tahlequah.
I'm told that the Tula were here from afar, and they occupied the Arkansas area, which is where the largest crystal caves above ground are located.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm told that the Cherokee were some of the ancestors that were taught by the Tula who were from afar. That would make sense that our lineage, our DNA has survived. We are strong warriors mentally and, heart-wise and DNA-wise. And I think we have a lot more to learn. And I think I'm so grateful for shows like this and for people like this who are really curious. We have to ask why. The wonder of a child is what gets the answers.
That's what I'm asking. Why? What is it?
Interesting.
What else? What else? What else?
Much more.
Yeah.
There's much more out there that we haven't even. It's like well.
Yeah, so like somebody in the chat just said the skull winked at him.
We were last year when Einstein came to Fresno.
Mhm.
We had some lights, and I believe because of the electronics, and as this is carried over the airwaves, there's a transmutation that takes place. There literally is. Of course there is. And so on the even on the Summer Solstice website, there was an interview with Chuck Leonard, and there was people that were reporting that from across the U.S. Oh my gosh, is it changing color? Is he? And that's what happens because this is ceremony. Look at this. We're in circle.
Sacred.
We're in circle.
Sacred,
This is
absolutely.
sacred ceremony. We're in circle.
We're in circle.
We
I didn't
are.
even notice that, but we are.
We
yeah.
are in circle. And what's at the center? What's at the center?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Crystal skull.
I'm
Crystal
going
skull,
to.
and then he's going to check it out with the thermal.
I'm going to take some photographs with the thermal imaging.
Make sure you don't forget about the blue orb.
Oh!
Blue orb.
That's right, the video. Let me take some pictures
He's
here.
just taking some pictures. Just taking some pictures. But it's a sacred opportunity. It really is.
Just for the record, this crystal conscious ambassador belongs to the world. This belongs to everyone. I'm here, Kyle's here. We're assisting by being its legs and being its antenna to find out where it needs to go next to do its work. But this being belongs to all of us. So that's why we're here.
Have you ever met like other people that have those, those size right there and shared like stories with
Not
them?
this large and not Lumerian so far that we have met. I mean, it was pretty much an honor to be at the 11/11/11 portal opening in Los Angeles at the completion of their journey, their sacred journey. And there was a Tibetan priest there that had found a rose quartz crystal skull up in the Himalayan caves a few years earlier and had mailed it to the Itza Council Mayan members because when they did their research, they found that those would be the people who would understand the meaning of that finding the most. It's considered a relic in the Buddhist conversation. And so when the ceremony took place, they actually handed the found rose quartz skull to the Tibetan priest, and the Mayan and the Tibetan priest actually exchanged the skulls, which now we understand to be the information from the east was exchanged with the information from the west. In that the eagle and the condor, as prophesied, would come together someday. And at that time, Humbutsman, who was the interpreter for the original traditional Mayan language that was being spoke in the ceremony, afterwards invited the Tibetan priest to have all and any of his folks that live there come and be on Turtle Island. 800 years rent free. Ha 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 ha. Meaning usury was over. The deed to Turtle Island was now due back to those grandchildren who are the gods that were dreamt into existence. The Mayans who ascended and the Mayans who were protected during the last shift of ages. The information they received during that photonic belt transition allowed them to understand what no time could actually mean, what dark matter actually means, what the birthing of a star place actually means, in order to put it into a code so that people could find it later and decipher it. So the ascended ones, I feel, are actually us who came back from the future to assist in correcting the timeline. So in order for that to happen, we had to go into a no-time place starting December 21st. Those of us that got the call in the 60s to come in on the next vessel in knew that we needed to come and help Gaia move through her ascension process, and that this shift of ages wouldn't be smooth. It would be a little bumpy because we were in quarantine, because we had become a violent planet. Violent to her, violent to each other, and violent in the agenda that was to follow.
It was the people, those guys that control everything right now. They actually, that's what the Dark Ages was all about. Like, they controlled then. The bloodlines that control now controlled then, and they didn't even, it was like a big deal for people to learn to read. Remember, like, when you were a kid and he couldn't sign his name, so he signed to X, on TV and movies. Well, now it's the Enlightenment, everybody's learning. We all know how to read now, or we should, all kinds of stuff. They actually been suppressing it, and they love violence. They're the ones that made the arenas, and at first they would feed you to the lions if you questioned their authority.
I want to address that fight that we were talking about earlier today, and I want to address it in a way that corrects the record. Because it's very important that we understand what we've been actually battling. And I'm talking about our ancestors who sacrificed in order for us to actually be here today. There was a curse by the learned ones who were the ones who could read back in the day, which were called popes back then. And this curse that was put upon us was found to have been put in place in 368 or 86 AD. Forgive me for not knowing the total facts, but that curse stated that the evidence will show that people are the reason that Jesus died on the cross. Therefore, in our next law, we're going to write that humanity doesn't have the responsibility or the ability to manage its own affairs as it pertains to God. So the message that I'm speaking, those that know about this curse are the ones that I'm speaking to right now. That curse was put upon humanity. It was called forever purgatory, and to tax and deem them dead at sea.
Dang.
That was the curse.
That's cold-blooded.
That's the creation of usury in that moment, because what they did was they created themselves as the middleman, the trustee, the agent for the estate. They made themselves an agent of my DNA, your DNA, and every commercial act that we would ever, any energetic act that we would ever generate on this planet, they considered themselves to be the owners of it. The grandest usurpation that's ever happened that was never rebutted. Under international and universal law, until such law is rebutted, it stands. So the issue wasn't necessarily the oral law that was put in place, which is what our tribal ancestors understood, that oral law was the way. It was the written word where the forked tongue came, and those that were learned began to speak double and have double meanings about the written word. And in the written word, it was written that we weren't capable of managing our affairs to God, and therefore we had a middleman called a money changer. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's been rebutted now. For the record, it's been rebutted. We say we no longer consent to a middleman or usury. And we say that is ended now. We're actually going back to original, universal, star knowledge, tribal
it's
law.
Totally over.
Totally over.
Just only, it's in the middle of changing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And the old school guys that were in charge are trying to keep the wool over everybody's eyes as long as they can. And
they're asking for assisted suicide right now.
It's not
Bankers are throwing themselves out windows right now.
Yes.
I mean,
the statistics will show this.
Yes.
When everybody finally wakes up, they'll be on the run. Because when everybody finds out what was done, they are not going to be
I'd like them to be contained in a FEMA camp wearing pink tutus.
Give them to Joseph Armeo or whatever he is over there in Arizona. I mean, actually, I agree 100%. I love what you're saying, because I hate these guys, honestly. Every time I get a PG&E bill or anything that's metered where they're charging me, oh man.
My wife,
I go
she's
absolutely
laughing.
nuts.
There's the delay, the pink tutu thing. God, we're laughing.
Yeah, we got like a 2 minute delay right here on the
So she started laughing.
through the video part.
Who's the police sheriff's officer in Sacramento? What the organization? It's just that he's the Oath Keepers.
Yeah, the Oath Keepers. Yeah,
they are a fan of the show. They watch our show.
Right.
Okay. To tell you where we're going with this. Okay.
Because the Oath Keepers are
they uphold the Constitution.
Yeah.
It isn't just only sheriffs either. It's anybody that worked for the government or wants to work for the government or just wants to keep the Constitution. That's the Oath Keepers.
Yes.
And luckily, we have people in our government and in public office areas. There's not a lot of them, but only they'll actually not
take up arms against us.
Right, exactly. They're not going to kick your door in and take your guns. They're going to actually probably be arrested.
Sheriff Mims here in Fresno County wants everybody to get a concealed weapon, to get a weapon. This is our sheriff, female sheriff here in Fresno County. Everybody should be armed. That is her all-time, goal for everyone. If you want to conceal, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. That's the way she is, and that's awesome because there are people out there who are government. They're not going to fall for this crap. and they're not.
Under the pursuit of happiness, we have the right to protect
Yeah.
not only Gaia, but those things and people that we hold sacred. We have the right to protect. That's just the bottom line. That's just the organic law.
Cool.
That's what we're all about here. We have friends and foes who watch this show, but I think a lot more than that. I think though, eventually, if it all comes down where good against the bad, I think the good is going to win, because there's just so many of us.
Yeah.
There's so many of us, and now, with everybody now having weapons. I mean, everybody has a weapon, a gun, everybody. So I think the time is near.
And transparency is the best weapon we can use in this psychological harvesting of souls that's actually been, this satanic coveted conspiracy. A conspiracy means many more than a couple gathering together for an agenda. Okay, let's be really straight about that. So what we're dealing with is humanity expressing its heart and its will, and never was it ever written that could be interfered with.
That's true. That's true.
We're remembering who we are. Who we are is someone who can drive or walk on a road and sleep in a desert if we want, without someone telling us no. I can carry a weapon if I want.
Oh, they're trying. Like I was just showing them a message that I got from the Department of Forestry. I went to a meeting. They're trying to close the
Department
forest.
means corporation, so that's your first clue.
Right. But they are gating off the forest.
They're using mail, which is against UPU treaty, to try to extort fear from your soul.
Well, he was just alerting me that they're having a meeting that nobody's going to hardly know about, right? And we went to one already where they're not doing it. They're not gating off the thing. They're not doing it. They made that very clear. They're not doing it. But only the laws are making them do it.
The statutes and the codes, which only the federal are attested to.
Yeah, because of some yellow-legged frog or something.
Yeah.
And I was thinking it was more like, because these guys eat people, they eat the babies and stuff like that, and they're dangerous, and hundreds of thousands of people are going missing in the hills. Like, what's the real truth? That's what I want to know, what the truth is. Like, I think it's Agenda 21 that this world order guys decided they don't want anywhere for us to run.
5 years ago, I said, when the SHIT hits the fan, we're going to pack up the fifth wheel, we're going to load up everything, and we're going to head as high as we can. Well, guess what these guys want to do? Nope, they want to put gates so Jeffrey and his family cannot go up, so we know where you're going to be at all times. That's what I feel is going on here. All it takes, there are maybe 3 or 4 major roadways from here to the top of the mountains. All they need is frickin' 3 Hummers on each road, and that's it.
That's it.
Let me say something about the Force, Luke. We're all Luke, by the way. Let me talk about this for a second. When festivals like I was talking about start to happen on Gaia, the frequency of her harmonically vibrating with us will begin like a dragonfly, a bumblebee, and a hummingbird. It will begin to vibrate at such a frequency that the 4D and lower vibrational lizard brains and beer belly people who are unconscious, who don't care about life itself, won't be able to exist on her surface. I'm telling you, we're all in a position to use the force of the ancient knowledge and understanding of the mineral kingdom, the angelic realm, all of that. They can't come. We can't bring heaven here until our vibration reaches past 4D. 4D is where the war is. We have to raise our frequency above 4D for them to be off-planeted. And I mean, maybe they fall in a sinkhole. Maybe they come and get rescued. and taken into detention. I don't know how it's going to look, but what I can tell you is all of us are being asked to do our part. And I know that my part, when I was 3.5 years old, I knew I made an agreement with God that I was bringing the circus to town.
Sweet.
It just happens to kind of look like that right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Here we are in a theater. Here we are on broadcast. Everyone gets to do their part to bring the show
On
to
Art
town.
Bell.
Yeah.
I mean, freaking really? I would have never thought in a million freaking years we are broadcasting right now on artbell.com.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much.
Right.
So we're like telling everybody this stuff, and it is good.
It's so good.
Because a lot of them are wanting to hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know,
And everybody can feel it coming. They just don't know when
we
or
just
anything.
we
And-
just got offered a 30-minute TV show on the Fox network.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, for free.
Wow.
Fox medicine. You know what they say about Fox medicine? It's a chameleon. It can be in any and all environments.
Ooh, you're talking about the native ways.
Yeah.
The Fox, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Bring it on.
Hopefully Fox or CW, we don't know. But we're having a studio built right now, and they offered us a 30-minute slot. And
Great.
they're not charging us.
Well,
Wow.
no usury?
No.
Wow.
Wow.
Why
And
do you
we can
think
sit and
that?
talk about this stuff.
Oh.
Hopefully.
We're going to have to bring you back.
Watch it. I might pitch a tent here.
We might have to bring
Yeah,
you. I
yeah.
mean, no.
Yeah,
no.
we're gonna.
See,
yeah, we've got it.
see,
yeah.
that's where we're going. Remember, I was telling you this is
Right.
SHIT is just, it's, oh my God, it's, the doors are opening up, and the Fox offers us a 30-minute show on TV, and as soon as we start broadcasting, they're going to start airing it. So it's like, I don't understand. It's like, we're meant to do this. I think we're meant to do this. The doors are opening, and we
and
keep
it's for
climbing.
this time that you're talking
Yes.
It is.
about. I actually believe that.
He's in a mindset where God is opening up our doors, and it's the reason why we're all here together right now.
That's right. That's right.
And there is something going on.
And not for. We're all called to do our part.
Yeah.
I know one of my parts is to make interconnections and continue making these connections so others have the opportunity to receive as well. Who'd have thought? Fresno, two Sanger boys.
No, who
Really?
would have? Who
Come
would
on.
have, dude?
Come on.
Seriously?
Oh, by the way.
Kingsburg.
Oh, and she's from Kingsburg.
No kidding.
She's from
Nobody
Kingsburg.
even knows where that is.
Yeah, we
So
do.
I
No, we
Oh,
do.
Danny Balderrama's from Kingsburg. Right now, Danny's freaking out.
Speed.
What do we got? We got 8 minutes left. Man.
So doing this Akashic reading, doing this Akashic work,
No.
we do these meditation spaces where Fresno State has invited us. We're doing them there because it's about folks being able to find the keys to listen for themselves. The keys. And so we all have these opportunities because it's all around us. It's all around us.
So, is this the Ed Case? Remember that guy?
Ed Casey.
Casey?
Edgar
Is that his
Casey.
name?
Edgar Casey,
That's where we
yes, that's
started
what
our
they
journey in the middle of Manhattan at the Edgar Casey Foundation.
Serious.
And that's where the Mayan elder told us that we are all the gods that they dreamt into existence
See,
for
now
this
I'm
time.
getting goosebumps.
I
You travel all the way to the west to do work in the Akasha.
Right?
Sweet.
Which the West represents transformation.
Okay, that's it, folks. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's
And you were
good.
saying?
Well, I mean, I've read a lot about Edgar
Casey.
Casey. I don't know how to
Casey.
say his
Edgar
name.
Casey,
You know,
yeah.
you just read it and then you read all the stuff, and I mean, people wore him out because they used his gift, and he was a really kind person, so he wanted to help everyone, and then they just used the what right out of him.
David Wilcox looks just like
Ed-
Edgar
He
Casey.
does. He does.
He has been the pioneer in disclosure of the not so nice people on the planet.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what? And that's why there's a lot of us who work really hard to make sure a lot of us work really hard to make sure that people have that opportunity. We don't need an Edgar Casey. We don't need a Baltazar Villarreal.
No,
You can come and do some readings if you want, but I'm gonna teach
we all
you.
can do that.
We all can.
Just
we
only
all
somewhere
can.
down the line we forgot, way
Right.
back when.
Right.
And we're all waking up now.
That's right. That's
And-
right.
and then
this
we'll,
is doing Akashic reading, teaching this work is another tool for you, for me, Kyle, for all of us. And so it's about that interconnectedness in the collective unconscious to make it conscious.
Sweet. Yeah.
Isn't that what the plan was? Is that Great Spirit, Creator Source, God, actually experience itself, its omnipresence, like all of us, the diamond shattered into a trillion pieces so that eventually it could experience itself through all those multiple, diverse, unique, individual fractals of itself.
Well, how many minutes?
We got 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
4 minutes. 2 minutes. Oh, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. You guys got to give your website and stuff like
yeah, information. Let's go.
Yeah, anything you got where if you want people to
Summer Solstice, Summer SUMMER Solstice, SKULLSTICE.
Solstice, I love that.
You
Solstice,
find
I
me
didn't
on
get
there to do Akashic readings. Akashic.
What we're going to
Fresno
do
by Baltazar.
is Alan is going to put
All
both of
that
your
stuff,
information
of
on
course.
our website. All right.
Kimarie stuff. What's just track,
Everything. Where are you going next? What are you doing?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Where's Waldo turns into Where's Yorick? Yeah, because right now, most of our groups and connectivity is happening on other people's weekly radio stations. We're on Wolf Spirit every Sunday night. But what I'm realizing is better than us being in one spot, we be free enough, like a bee pollinating all the spots, we just be located on all the different areas where people are doing the same work that we're doing. So then we can raise the frequency. So we have, I'm excited to sort of just share a place where people can kind of go and land. But more importantly, I want to share where we're going to be and who we're going to be playing with, who we're dancing
Do I
with.
hit it now, or-
Yeah.
No? Okay. Cool.
And the blue orb, the blue orb.
Crap. Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Oh.
Put it on the site.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get it on there.
We'll
All
put it
right.
on there.
Well, this is going to go down. It's probably one of the best shows. I mean, this is. I could feel it already. Huh? I could feel it already.
Yeah.
I want to thank both of you for coming down and bringing Yorick.
Thank you, blessings.
We had a blast. I think people out there are going to be talking about this show for a long time. Thank you very much, you guys. Appreciate it.
You guys are really great guests.
This was an awesome show, guys. Thank you for all who are listening in
Thank all you guys out there.
ParanormalCentral.net and ArtBell.com. We'll be back next week.
Say
What can I
goodbye
say?
to everybody
Take
out
care.
there.
You have been listening to Paranormal Central with Jeffrey Gonzalez and Alan Thomas, broadcasting worldwide at ParanormalCentral.net and on ArtBell.com. Stay tuned for next time. Remember to keep your eyes to the skies. And we hope you witness something you cannot explain.
Looking for you, you're looking for me. We have to decide what it will be. Can it be true? Can